Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar on supporting AWP projects under 100 million total installed cost. Before we begin, we are going to start with a safety moment. And as most of us just experienced a time change, just some things to keep in mind as we fall back to shorter days. Aim your headlights correctly, make sure they're clean, dim your dashboard lights, look away from oncoming traffic and lights. If you wear glasses, get regular eye exams, make sure you're always up to date, always have a clean windshield, slow down to compensate for limited visibility and reduce stopping time, always stay in your lane and beware of drivers who dart from lane to lane. Even though the route may be familiar, don't go on autopilot, always stay alert. And reduce your distractions. Don't text, don't eat, don't drink, or any other things that may divert your attention in the vehicle as you're driving. So with that, we'll jump into today's agenda. So we're going to discuss, first I'll go into who is O3, and then I'll cover how, or then KK is going to cover how to support AWP on projects under 100 million TIC, and that includes some myths, how to scale AWP, the benefits of it, and then he's going to give you some detail regarding case studies from an operating facility and a brownfield small cap project. And then we'll launch into key takeaways, and time permitting, we'll do question and answer. And as a reminder, if you have questions, please submit them throughout in the chat panel in your GoToWebinar on the side there. Submit them throughout the presentation and we'll answer them as we get to them at the end. Now I'm going to introduce KK. He's O3's project manager. He manages all of our projects within Asia Pac and the Middle East. He's got 15 years of experience in oil and gas, marine construction field. So now I'll tell you a little bit about O3. O3 is a modern web-based platform that leverages advanced work packaging and agile best practices to disrupt the status quo for companies in industrial construction who want to improve productivity, safety, quality, and predictability. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you, KK. Thank you again for joining us, and it's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Tori. Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, supporting AWP on projects under 100 million TIC. Now, let's see why we are here. Scalable Advanced Work Packaging, or AWP, is real, not too expensive to bring meaningful returns on small cap brownfield projects with a total install cost TIC as low as 50,000 USD. From 50,000 USD to 50 billion USD, AWP is the right answer for efficient and safe project execution. Now let's cover some myths which says AWP cannot be scaled. While it is true that deploying AWP on small cap projects has some unique challenges that you don't find on most large cap greenfield projects, the overwhelming evidence is in small cap AWP works, and it works at a scale. O3 paved the way for this by being the first company to do scalable AWP with entire programs of small cap projects being managed at existing owner facilities. Another objection to scalable AWP that we have heard is that software tools are cost-prohibitive for small cap projects. While this used to be the case, it's no longer true. With the emergence of web-based solutions that do not require expensive hardware to support thick client on-premise deployments, the total cost of ownership of AWP solutions has decreased significantly. O3 has been successful with the rollout of its software across entire portfolios of small cap projects, which further helps to defray the cost. Legacy on-premise solutions that do not support multiple projects and lack the ability to provide cross-project reporting are not a good fit for scalable AWP, but these dinosaur technologies are on their way out. Modern web-based tools like O3 are the future of construction software. Moving to the next slide, which is scaling AWP and how to do it. So what are the various ways to scale AWP? You can provide AWP self-paced training and online education. Why I emphasize on self-paced training or online education is because we want to establish process, but before establishing the process, we need to ensure that all your people buy into AWP. So providing them with the self-paced training and online education will make sure that they understand that AWP can be scaled and AWP is going to make their lives easier. Introduce change slowly over a series of multiple projects. Focus on the new projects coming through or front-end loading stages. That is, you could basically start these new projects in FEL1 or FEL2. Subsidize the AWP pilot from either the corporate or the portfolio AWP program. Avoid legacy software that does not scale easily. Spread the cost of AWP across a portfolio of projects. While it is true that deploying AWP on small cap project has some unique challenges that you don't find on most large cap greenfield projects, the evidence is seen. Small cap AWP works and it works at scale. O3 paved the way for this by being the first company to do scalable AWP with entire programs of small cap projects being managed at existing owner facilities, which we will get into more detail in coming slides. But first, let's highlight some of the benefits that came with the scalable AWP program for projects under 100 million CIC. The modern web-based platform is designed to support a project of any size or even a portfolio of small projects. AWP can be applied whether you are using a 3D model or not. O3 meets you where you are with a crawl, walk, run approach. The advantage of applying AWP to several small cap brownfield projects at one time is that you have an evergreen portfolio of projects with rolling start dates that allow you to introduce change slowly over a series of multiple projects. In large cap greenfield projects, you have to introduce all of the change at once and then lock in your project execution approach for the entire duration of the project. With small cap, you can follow a crawl, walk, run approach over the course of several projects while limiting the change being introduced on any one project. This means you don't have to tackle everything right away. You can follow the below approach, for example. So I normally would advise you to put your project through phases. So the phase 1 can be work phase planning and key disciplines only. Phase 2, you try to implement basic proof of concept, that is basic POC and sequencing, and work phase planning for all disciplines. And phase 3, go for the kill. Full AWP, complete implementation of best practice. This also has the added benefit of allowing you to learn lessons quickly and apply them to subsequent projects, which helps to refine your AWP process. What we have seen work well is initial introduction of just installation work packages, followed by the expansion to properly managed and released construction work packages, and then expansion both upstream and downstream into engineering and testing. So scaling AWP, what are the benefits? More benefits you can see over here. And as you can see from this Construction Industry Institute research report, the benefits of AWP continue to grow as your maturity increases. Even in the early stages, AWP can help your project stay on schedule and budget, as well as improve quality, safety, and productivity. Once you have got a team in place that can scale AWP, those benefits can increase dramatically. So as you can see, productivity in an early stage will be around 10%, but as the AWP effectiveness grows, you will find huge improvement in productivity, which means that your cost of production will decline, and you will find that your cost will be 10% below TIC by stage 3. Same is with safety, predictability, quality, and schedule. Now let's take a look at a specific case study that started with one small project and then scaled across a portfolio of small projects at a refinery in the United States where O3 was implemented. For a quick overview of the scope of work regarding this particular project, the project team wanted to develop CWPs and IWPs for a couple of small projects that did not use 3D models. But they needed a solution that could handle 3D models because future projects that were a bit larger would use a 3D model to help in work packaging. Team also needed an easier way to keep track of RFIs, something they were currently chasing using multiple Excel spreadsheets and email. Every project in the facility needed to execute was taking place in an active environment at an operating facility. So coordinating crews and scaffolding was, of course, of utmost importance. They also needed a way to identify when packages were ready for a release and if they had materials they needed for each installation or package. How it all started. What was the driver to implement AWP? This particular client started to work with O3 in the middle of COVID pandemic. They had to limit their on-site personnel to essential worker only. They had to stagger shifts to reduce the potential of exposure. And they also had several team members that were working remotely, as many of you would have done during the COVID pandemic. Because of this change, the team needed to be able to coordinate virtually without use of sticky notes, conference room whiteboards, office drop-ins, etc. Basically, they had to reinvent how the different teams could work together. The manual process was no longer working for them. Now, 2 years later, let's see how it's going. The project has fully implemented O3 to help address all of their collaboration and planning needs. Let's take a look at the technology they have in place. With unlimited users, the project invited multiple contractors and subcontractors to submit RFIs directly in the platform. Each RFI has an assigned owner, a priority, and a due date. Using team boards, the project team members can see all the outstanding tasks, review the list, and prioritize the work. Instead of tracking to-do lists in 18 different places, now there is one view of all work. A clear understanding of who is assigned that work and the expected due date. This information can be viewed in multiple ways. A Kanban board, a list, a Gantt chart, or a grid. Everything is there in O3. With team boards, Every task can be tracked and reported against. Items can be grouped, sorted, filtered, and bulk edited. These features are very helpful in meeting to plan work as a team can focus only on critical items if needed. And if they need to focus on all the items, they can do that also. With scaffold management features, workplace planners and scaffold coordinators can now work together to manage requests across disciplines and work areas. Having a single source for scaffold requests significantly reduced workfront access issues and avoided the costly habit of erecting and taking scaffold down multiple times within the same area. Throughout the projects and the work packages lifecycle, O3 provides visibility and insight with actionable reporting and analytics. Default dashboards for specific roles allow individual users to track their work and also identify potential issues. Manager level dashboards track progress and trends for visibility into project health and helps the team improve on process throughout. So basically the process can be improved throughout the project lifecycle. Let's go for another case study, which is the case for a small cap brownfield project. For this case study, a small brownfield project, which has a very small cap, came to O3 for pretty standard AWP needs. They wanted to build and manage construction work packages and installation work packages. They needed to manage constraints across multiple contractors, and they wanted a tool that would help them track daily tasks across companies, disciplines, teams, and other projects if needed. All of these companies involved in this particular project were using different methods to plan and manage work. That was one of the biggest issues. It was difficult to track progress consistently because every company submitted reports in their own format. Each company had varying levels of data available. So there was no uniformity. Another concern was whether or not the value and benefits of AWP could be achieved using manual processes. The team agreed they wanted to manage AWP program in a single tool, and O3 was selected. Similar to the previous case study, this project currently uh, you know, uh, used O3 to manage RFIs, constraints, and reporting. What was unique about this particular project was that it was the first pilot project in an offshore portfolio with boots on the ground on every platform, but a centralized management team that oversee AWP program as a whole was also present. Once the team successfully launched at one site, the software was easily deployed on multiple geographically dispersed locations, and they could scale it just like what we explained. Now, I spoke about crawl, walk, run approach to scale AWP. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So in the crawl, walk, run approach, how we work with clients to start slowly, get everyone on the same page, collect the data that we need, and celebrate early wins. As the project team matures in their AWP knowledge and experience, more features and integrations are introduced, and more team members are added onto the program. In this particular case, as you can see, under work packaging, initially CWP and AWP creation and release was done, package review and approval was done. Then they moved to tracking across teams and deliverables closed out and quality assurance review. And during the final phase in work packaging, they began using scaffolding, engineering work package, turnover work package. On the project management side, initially they used dashboards, reports, and digital tools. In the next phase, they started using team boards to the whole disciplines. RFI tracking was introduced, construction closeout and handover was done. In the final phase, cost integration was achieved. Under scheduling, initially only schedule alignment and rules of credit and progress tracking was done. In the work phase, P6 data exports and uploads along with progress exports. And in the final phase, again, scheduling, integration, and mobile app integration. As far as engineering was concerned, they started off with constraint management. Then in the next phase, they introduced engineering deliverables and tracking. And finally, they started implementing vendor change order requests, KPI tracking, graphical integration, and document management integration. So now let's discuss what are the key takeaways from this webinar. Supporting AWP on small cap projects is possible. Remember to adopt a crawl, walk, run approach to AWP implementation. Wherever possible, start your AWP journey with a new pilot project. AWP is a journey and will take time to properly be embedded in your company's culture, system, and contract. Do not expect it to be perfect on day one. Start slowly but steadily. You can introduce AWP at any stage of the project, and whatever is the maturity level of your AWP, use a software which helps you with your AWP journey in the phase you are in and with the AWP maturity that you are having. This is where O3 brings a lot of value because we believe in working on the phase you are in and with the AWP maturity that you are in, bringing certain components, introducing them, and celebrating those quick wins, and finally achieving the success over the entire project. So celebrating your quick wins. Start off AWP implementation maybe only with a specific entity, say CWPs, and maybe a few core group people. Once successful with that, celebrate these quick wins and later spread it across to multiple entities and larger group of people. Last but not the least, spread the cost of AWP implementation, including your software costs. Over multiple projects, a single project in a portfolio might not be able to bear the entire cost. Now we'll be moving on to the Q&A session. So any questions submitted, I'll be answering to that.
Yeah, thank you, KK. Got a few questions that we get asked a lot. I'll just start with some of those. How can we kick off implementing an AWP software like O3 in a pilot project?
That's a very good question, Tori. As I have reiterated before, AWP is a journey and will take time to properly be embedded in your company's culture, system, and contract. We always recommend to start with people and process first. Why? People have to buy in your AWP software and your AWP implementation program. And then you have to align the process with what people are working on, and then proceed with the technology. So first of all, we educate people on how implementing AWP is going to benefit the project, the company, and of course, the people involved on a longer run. We help people establish the process. Again, we will not be changing the basic process, but adapting the process to suit advanced work packaging. This is for successfully implementing AWP, and then finally, we implement the AWP software for them, which will create minimal to zero business disruption.
Next question. Typically, how much time it will take for implementing an AWP software like O3 in a pilot project?
Again, it's a very good question. It all depends basically on what phase of the project you are in, user adoption, etc. But idealistically, for a new small cap pilot project, it typically takes approximately 2 months to successfully implement an AWP software. But implementation, so you should never think that, okay, oh, it takes 2 months to implement an AWP software initially. That's only for the pilot project. Implementation of subsequent projects are quite simple, as we do not have to reinvent the wheel. Everything will be similar to pilot project, especially the processes, the integrations with the software needed. And hence, implementations can get over within a month when you're doing the second project, and successful production can go live can happen immediately within a few days once the data transfer and acceptance is completed by the client. So typically for pilot, 2 months, and subsequent project, max to max a month.
Okay. Another question. There will be a lot of novice subcontractors in the project who might not be knowing much about AWP or O3 software. How can we ensure that they are brought on board?
Not being an expert in AWP, we shouldn't rule a contractor out just because they are not expert. Actually, as per what I have experienced in the field, and over the past 1.5 years, over different implementation, what I have experienced is that it's better to deal with an AWP novice contractor who wants to learn how to use the process than to deal with a contractor who claims to be an expert but does not truly buy into the AWP approach. We always, at O3, we always let the contractors know that AWP is not an entirely new concept. It's taking the best bits that everyone has been doing so far and putting them all together into best practice. We at O3 provide ample training to the subcontractors so that they can buy into the AWP program, and also show the best benefits of using O3 and AWP software to them, and how they will be also saving a lot of man-hours by using the software, and how reporting using O3 dashboards is going to make their life as simple as possible. So this is how we have been bringing the novice subcontractors on board.
Okay, well, thank you for those answers, KK. With that, we're going to wrap it up. That's about all the time we have. I want to remind everybody that you can contact us for more information, or if we didn't get to your question today, you can always email us at info@o3.solutions. Our website is www.o3.solutions. You can find tons of information for free. You can download case studies and more there. And just always reach out if you have any questions. And we look forward to seeing you next time. And thanks again to KK for presenting.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for attending this webinar.